What instantly kills the vibe at a party? If the hosts are a couple, and they get into a fight. Oh, are their names Michael and Jan by chance? To be fair, that party wasn't really vibing to begin with. When someone gets extremely wasted and too out of control, starts to pick fights, has drunk fits, will sprawl on the ground, needs 100% supervision, has to be carried around. You just want to chill and enjoy the party, but you can't 'cause you're stuck babysitting them. I was at a staff party with an open bar, and it reached the time when the first clusters of guests were leaving. When they went to get their coats from the closet, they discovered a young new team member who we thought had left hours ago. He had stripped off all his clothes, made a nest of jackets, soiled everything, and passed out. Killed the vibe for sure. Bless his heart. Did he ever show up for work again? Op replied somewhere else. He peed and had diarrhea, unfortunately. He did show up to work on Monday, but he only lasted a week or two before he left the organization. Yikes. Maybe watch the 18-year-olds when you have an open bar. That one sad drunk who is loud as hell. The trick is to be so drunk yourself that you don't care. Someone putting the big light on. Used to work at a bowling alley. On the weekends we had cosmic bowling, dark, black lights, fog machine, disco lights. At midnight we would turn the music off and the big fluorescent lights on so people would go home. The vibe kill was instantaneous. Gotta turn the lights down and keep things sexy. And then when the host wants to go to bed they just snap on the lights, kill the music and watch everyone scatter like cockroaches. That's what I would do if I want to go to bed but the party was still going. I'm not about to have a bunch of people in my house partying when I'm knocked out. A friend of mine announced she had to fart to the entire kitchen while she was intoxicated. She proceeded to shit liquid diarrhea on herself. It hit the floor, it smelled terrible. Party ended before it really ever began. Guess she had some stomach bug or IBS or something. She ended up getting diapers for any gift-giving occasion after. No clue where she ended up, we lost touch a year or so later. Edit. I've had some experts weigh in to tell me nobody with IBS trusts farts, so I'm going to bend the knee to those soldiers battling their own colons and rule out IBS. I'll leave it in though for continuity. Rule number 467: never fart when drunk. Always assume it's shit. When someone gets too drunk and starts arguing. When I was 17 I passed out for 4 hours then woke up and started arguing that natural evolution no longer applies to humans because we keep solving problems that would have led to people dying before passing on their genes, thus only selective evolution still applied. I regret that night immensely. But, fortunately, by the time I woke up the party was basically dead anyway, so I didn't kill much of the vibe. Someone took a shit in the sink at a house party of mine once. That was a buzz killer for sure. Party pooper. Every party needs a pooper, that's why they invited you. Party pooper, party pooper. Aggressive drunks. I think the S is needed. A single, aggressive drunk can be headed off. The party can pinball them around the place and make them feel special. And, if not, push them into a ditch. Multiple aggressive drunks? GTFO. Now. You underestimate the power of an aggressive drunk with a sprinkle of insanity. Went to a small cozy wedding party and one of the guests, sister of the groom, brought her boyfriend of 5 months. Funny guy, easy to talk to, all cool until suddenly shit hit the fan entirely. The guy became incoherent, threatened to rape the married couple's toddler if they don't stop pissing him off, then got told off as everyone was rightfully pissed, ran out of the garden hut away from the property, threw himself to the floor and started simulating some kind of seizure, all while his girlfriend suffered a major panic attack through all of it out of guilt and shame. Party ended with an ambulance and a police car. One time, my brother, 14 at the time, wanted to see how hard it would be to dig out a 1 meter x 1 meter square hole out of the ground, Minecraft inspired. He spent a good amount of time over a weekend digging, until he got bored. It was mostly finished. Fast forward a couple months. I throw a party at my dad's house and we're having a blast. A bonfire out back and everything. A kind-hearted attendee noticed the pit in the ground and made it his duty to guard the pit, for he did not want anyone to get hurt. Someone got hurt. Spoiler alert. It was him. He fell into the pit, our brave guard. Thankfully, we had a sober person there and they drove him to the hospital, but that instantly killed the vibe at the party. Edit. The end result? He broke his leg pretty bad. Crippled by his own hubris. The two drunkest guys getting into a fight and then hearing one of their GFS start crying and screaming things like, "Stop for me please, look at me, this isn't you," etc. etc. before she gets yeeted by being in the crossfire. Chadley stop you'll go to jail again loudly crying. Prayers up for Chadley getting in a tussle with Torkley and Blorf pensive face. When someone changes a song before the best part. I've done this and got my dumbass excommunicated. Rightfully. Nothing worse than an impatient DJ. Even if the song is mediocre, it's certainly better to suffer through it as opposed to skipping each song played 20 seconds into it. I was at a party last week where someone decided to take over the Spotify playlist that had been on for the night, and from then on I didn't hear the last minute of any song. It was incredibly frustrating. An overdose. I witnessed this. Host and 2 friends went to a room to do a little booger sugar, but it must have been laced with fentanyl or something. They were found unresponsive, party over, paramedics, cops, etc. Narcan definitely saved them and they made a full recovery, but damn. What a horrible night. I am not from the States, but why is fentanyl a thing to cut coke with? I mean, one is a stimulant, and the other one is a downer. In Europe coke tends to be cut with amphetamine as it's much cheaper than coke, or some filler which is inactive. But why of all powders, they use fentanyl for cutting coke in the US? I will forever be surprised by what euphemisms people can come up with for cocaine. Edit. They're all amazing, please keep them coming. Shortage of drinks when everything is closed. Ah yes, time for the adventure, gathers the folks for the quest to the closest gas station to buy more alcohol, gets lost twice, changes destination several times, 3 people go missing, somebody passes out, drink entire booze before they make their way back home. At my own wedding, which I had procured enough alcohol to kill a medium-sized African country's population, the event coordinator came up to my wife and I like mid-dinner and was like, "We're going to run out of booze." I was like, if that's true people would be leaving in ambulances. And it was late and snowy and we were way up on top a mountain, but we were not going to run out of booze, so one person's sober mom made the most epic BEERRUN of all time down the mountain to the liquor store before it closed and we partied all night. Next morning we're taking inventory after the party and there was a massive amount of alcohol left over, like several grand worth that we got to take home. No clue why the venue planner said we were running out, but we drank on that alcohol surplus for like a year before it ran out. It's good that you went with the more generic medium-sized country instead of simply specifying Chad. We'd question how this Chad fellow has such a high alcohol tolerance. In college, when we wanted to wrap up the party at 2 or 3 a.m., play Dark Side of the Moon. Drops the energy, no one is being asked to leave, people are chill as they head out, no crazy disruptions for the neighbors. Not specifically the vibe killing that the rest of the posters are sharing, but similar. When I was ready to shut down my parties I played Gordon Lightfoot. Everyone got the hint and left happy. I'm not fucking leaving until I figure out what happened to the Edmund Fitzgerald. I went to college on Lake Superior. I think that would have hyped up the drunkest of us. When people take over the TV to share YouTube videos. Oh, there's a funny video about this, let me find it. No, it'll just be a second. I don't see it on TikTok, was it YouTube? 1 second, it's loading. Okay, here it is. No wait. No, it's this one. Okay, ready? 004, 655. Okay, just wait for this dumb commercial. That's weirdly relatable. A cousin had her sweet 16 and there was a laptop with music videos during the night being played. All dance music and video remixes. Then one of my uncles wanted to show us a funny, lip-sync video he saw. Most guests were there awkwardly watching it, then another video, and another one, as my uncle happily told others about the couple that did the videos and how he liked them. A couple getting into a public argument. That's entertaining for the most part, one find. It's entertaining except when that couple was gonna be your ride home. 4 or 5 guys randomly walking in that may or may not know the host. I had a party once with a bunch of ravers and didn't know half of them. Then some neighbors asked if they could come in. They were a little sketchy but we said okay, and the second they walked in the house my roommate's Boston Terrier started growling and walked them all right back out. That dog knew something. Walk-ins aren't welcome at any party with my friends ever since some random came into our 4th floor apartment, got kicked out for being creepy, and then, successfully, climbed the side of the building onto the balcony. Injuries. Watch me dive head first into the shallow end of the pool and break both my hands. Or I'm going to do a keg stand and break my nose. It was a keg flip. Cops. Gunshots. Cops firing gunshots. Anybody whips out a crack, meth pipe or syringes, I'm out. I was once at a party where I knew nobody except a friend and his GF. The 3 of us ate some mushrooms, and I ended up having way more than I should have. I felt super uncomfortable, so I went and just chilled out in my car for like 6 hours. At some point my friend and his GF came and sat with me to make sure I was okay, and they convinced me to come back into the house where the party was. When I went inside, there were people smoking crack and shooting up in the house. It was absolutely wild, and once again I was super uncomfortable. I had a minor confrontation with a guy, who turned out to be my friend's brother, and decided to leave. I drove home because I didn't know what else to do. It was a very rural place, so cab or bus were not options. But as I was coming down from the mushrooms and driving through the countryside, the sun was rising, and I just remember feeling like I had been at a crossroads that night, and I really felt like I had picked the right path getting out of that crack house and had been rewarded with a sunrise. It was both a super sketchy and super cool experience. Someone trying to show off a weapon, especially a gun, it's time to nope out. The person with a fresh breakup. If it's a chick, she's trying to hard to act single, groping random guys, constantly wooing, screaming lyrics, and swearing. She tries too hard to be the center of attention, knocks all the cups off the beer pong table, and constantly barges into other conversations. And then she crashes into a ball of sadness in the bathroom where random girls have to hold her hair and fix her mascara. If it's a guy, he rolls into the party 6 deep and is being physically dragged into the house. He is surrounded by other guys who are hyping him up and going around the house explaining to random girls how great he is. Strangers who are absolutely wasted give him advice and repetitive compliments. He ends up doing too many shots in a row and stumbles into the backyard to yak. Using the party for MLM sales opportunities. I was invited to a dinner party and only found out when I got there that it was a pitch for Amway. When I arrived, I was told there would be a short presentation prior to dinner. I said, "No, thank you," and left. Moved back to my small town. First person to contact me outside of the small friend group that knew was trying to get me to come by for an Amway meeting. Thanks for making my homecoming suck, Leslie. You're a horrible cheerleader. That's the worst. They swoop in and act like they're genuinely happy to see you, then hit you with the sales pitch. The crying girl that needs everyone to console her. Get out of the bathroom, there's a line forming. I remember I was at a party once and this girl did that, but she thought she was too drunk, she wasn't, and was going to die and got people to call an ambulance for her. We sat at a table drinking beers and rolling joints, Canada, and these paramedics and cops showed up and it was basically just an eye-roll fest for everyone involved. Haha. There was a girl in my town known to some as 911 Nikki, for a similar reason.